Gamification is the application of game elements, like scoring and competition, into learning environments, like classrooms and professional development, with the hopes that that will make learning more engaging, personalized, and meaningful for learners. To break that down into principles, the guiding principle of gamification is that competition and collaboration will foster motivation for learners. So here we have a scoreboard indicating the progress that people have made in professional development, and that highest bar is actually someone who is traditionally an unmotivated adult learner. So we can see that collaboration and competition is going to inspire our learners, and especially those learners who might not typically be inspired, to truly try their hardest to succeed. Additionally, a gamification element is using gaming terminology. So that's things like using the word bonus, using words like challenge, or making point values very visible and apparent to learners. All of these things will just repackage learning. So things like calling them challenges instead of assignments will help inspire learners and give it more of a game feeling. The next gamification principle is to provide players with multiple paths. In a video game, you don't have one way to complete a challenge. That would be boring. That would not allow for the same level of challenge for a learner. Additionally, in gamification, we should allow our learners to choose from different paths that they want to choose from, and then different challenges within those paths, just to give themselves a way to personalize their own learning and do what they think will be most beneficial to their learning. Another very important principle to gamification is failure is an opportunity to learn. So in a video game, when you die completing a challenge, you've learned from what you've done wrong, and the next time you do it, you'll know how to do it better. In your classroom, that might look like giving your students some very quick feedback on something that they've completed, showing them what they didn't do correctly, and then allowing them to do that again in order to gain those points and to gain that mastery. Gamification is all about becoming masterful in something, and so we want our students to do something over until they have shown that mastery. Another principle is the idea that with gamification and with any game, you start with a score of 0 and then you grow. So that is something that's really going to help motivate our learners to see that the more and more they do, the more and more they gain points. And that is dramatically different from the idea that in class, you start with a 100 in class at the beginning of the marking period, and everything that you don't do or everything that you don't do to perfection, your score becomes lower and lower. The idea that you would start at 0 and grow is far more motivating than the idea of losing points over time. And then another gamification principle is that you really want to incentivize progress. So for professional development for adults, maybe that looks like providing gift cards, but in your classroom it could just look like keeping a constant scoreboard and showing who's in the lead, and simply having the idea that the scoreboard is constantly being updated. You're competing against your peers. That can often be incentive enough. But most importantly, gamification is all about having fun while learning. So it's often great to add in some opportunities for some joy within the learning, things that might build camaraderie amongst your students as well. So that is gamification in a nutshell.